It's not unusual for shonen anime to have important clans and families. In fact, it's generally a good idea to spice up the whole narrative considering how these clans and families always come with decades or even centuries old feuds among other things. Some series like Naruto properly abuse the idea, while there are some like One Piece that make it a part of the story's thematic value. But what about Jujutsu Kaisen? As we all know, there are 3 families that control the Jujutsu Society. Although the extent remains unclear, it has been hinted that they also have influence over the actual society of Japan. And it makes sense, right? Because how else do you keep the existence of Jujutsu a secret without influencing the society itself in some way, shape, or form? It's like the real world, isn't it? There are politicians, and then there are the disgustingly rich families that have the ability to influence those politicians. What I love about Jujutsu Kaisen is how it never tries to romanticize these families. But what I hate about Jujutsu Kaisen is how the author never properly explored them. They were introduced, built up, but then shrank into irrelevance as the series came to an end. Still, this video is not just about speculation, it's about what we actually know when it comes to these families. Welcome to the channel, everyone, and if you're enjoying the content so far, please like, comment, and subscribe below to let everyone know that you alone, above heaven and earth, are the honored one. My name is TK, let's get into some anime. Starting from the names, we have the Zenin family, Gojo family, and the Kamo family. They have been around for over 1,000 years, which means that they were still around even during the golden age of sorcery, Sukuna's lifetime to be more precise. Although considering how Sukuna didn't give the impression that he knew about Megami's 10 Shadows technique back during the Cursed Womb arc, it is safe to say that the families weren't as big back then as they are now. Until the Shibuya incidents, back when the Jujutsu world was still stable, these 3 families had the primary influence and political prominence over the society. Though do keep in mind that the Jujutsu headquarters are separate from the families. However, it's clear that the families had an influence over them as well. Not to mention, they were also in contract with the Japanese governments. In fact, the head of Jujutsu headquarters is appointed by the Prime Minister himself, but of course, the nominations come from the Big Three families. The principal of Jujutsu High, such as Principal Yaga, was also appointed based on the nominations from the Big Three, but not by the Prime Minister. Yes, the Prime Minister only helps in appointing the head, the rest is taken care of by the heads of the families. And I'm sure heavy corruption and senile syndrome is involved considering how much Gojo himself hated the higher-ups. Just look at the dynamics between these families. It's about feuds and rivalries, to the point that when Gojo Satoru was born, the balance of the world literally pivoted in favor of the Gojo family. Naturally, the other 2 families tried to kill Gojo, but they never succeeded. All in all, the families keep an eye on each other, they know about each other's inherited techniques, and they are also always ready to sabotage each other at any given moment. Heck, when Gojo was sealed, the higher-ups must have celebrated because, he wasn't as senile as them. In chapter 137, Gojo was declared an accomplice in the Shibuya incident. He was exiled from the Jujutsu Society, and it was established that removing his seal would be a criminal act. It's all simple. It's all about power. This is why Yuji's death sentence was revoked and his execution was to be carried out immediately, and it's also why Principal Yaga was also sentenced to death. As much as it is about keeping balance and stability, it's more about power. Yuji's existence as a vessel directly threatened the status quo, and because Gojo was able to do whatever he wanted, he was a foil to the status quo as well. But the higher-ups are not the Big Three families, right? Yes, technically, but we have to keep in mind that the Big Three families have a big say in everything. Consider Naobita's statement, for example. After Gojo was taken out of the picture, he said that he wouldn't mind the Gojo family going out of power. Why did he say that? Well, why wouldn't he say that? He was then the head of the Zenin family. The thing about Gojo is that his existence was a foil to the status quo that had lasted for centuries. When it comes to the Gojo family, he was a one-man show, but because he was also exponentially stronger than everyone, he got to do whatever he wanted. Yes, despite being a one-man show, the Gojo family had more power than the Zenin and Kamo family simply because of Gojo. But why was it just him? Why did we never see another member of the Gojo family? Was he really alone? What happened to the rest? Are they even still around? It's so mysterious because on the other hand, you have the Zenin family and it's more like an actual clan. In chapter 138, which is titled the Zenin clan, the former head, Naobito, passes away, and it is all but certain that Naoya would become the next head. But when the will comes out and it is revealed that Megumi Fushiguro will be the next head and not him, Naoya is flabbergasted. Which brings another question. What exactly is the criteria for one to be head of the clan? It sounds stupid, but stick with me for a minute. Yes, in Gojo's case, he is the strongest, so it makes sense for him to be the clan head. Now, in Megumi's case, it's a bit conflicting because Naoya was stronger than him. However, unlike Naoya, he is the one who inherited the 10 Shadows technique after all. Although to be fair, the Zenin clan has 2 inherited techniques. 10 Shadows is cooler and more important, but there is also projection sorcery. We'll talk more about inherited techniques in a minute, but for now, let's continue talking about the criteria. Okay, so it made the most sense for Naoya to be the next clan head. By the way, fun fact, Zenin is a misogynistic clan, and so it definitely made more sense for Naoya to be the next clan head. However, due to the agreement with Toji and everything, Megumi becomes the next clan head. Just look at Naoya's face, he was completely disgusted. So the question is, how are the higher-ups decided? Considering how it's a Jujutsu-driven society, are the higher-ups actually strong? If not strong, what other criteria are used? Well, chapter 223 shows us a panel where all of them have been brutally slaughtered. And in the previous chapter, we have Yuta and Inumaki strolling through what looks like to be the headquarters. Yes, Yuta is a special grade, but it always took for 2 sorcerers to completely annihilate the headquarters. Same with the Zenin clan. Maki single-handedly cleansed it up. Isn't that a little awkward? The higher-ups and the Big Three families get to exercise all this power and authority, but the moment an actually strong sorcerer decides to go up against them, they can actually take them out pretty easily. It's not like the families themselves are on good terms, so it's always very easy for a civil war to occur. I'm surprised that this fragile system was able to hold off for so many centuries, but I guess the previous eras never experienced any true threats like the disaster level cursed spirits, Kenjaku, or the likes of Sukuna. Yeah, considering how strength works in Jujutsu Kaisen, anarchy would be a better system. Only the strongest should be at the top. Or what do you guys think? Am I just spitting or am I just waffling? But that is how Jujutsu society works. The strongest are at the top, and if you happen to be gambled and born weaker, you unfortunately don't get the same amount of power as someone who was born with a better curse technique or more potential than yourself. Now, in chapter 158, when Hakari learns that Megumi is actually the head of the Zenin clan, the situation changes. But why? Does his word really hold any weight just because he has been declared the clan head? Who enforces this? We're talking about this because Hakari wanted the actual Jujutsu regulations to be changed, and Megumi said that he doubts it'll be that difficult. You see, on one hand, we have an actual one-man show who can get anything enforced because he is the strongest, but on the other hand, we have characters that are actually not that strong. These characters are the higher-ups in the Jujutsu world, and then you have Megumi, who is chosen to be a candidate over Naoya. It's all over the place that you can almost confuse it with the real-world politics. Honestly, while there are a lot of things that Jujutsu does well, this is not one of them. The entire 3 big families could have been expounded upon a little bit more. Only the Zenin clan actually had some relevance in the story. The Kamo clan also has some relevance, but mainly because of the blood manipulation technique and not because of their prestige or anything like that. Finally, let's talk about inherited techniques. The Kamo family has blood manipulation. Yes, it kind of feels like they all have this blood manipulation, but it has a lot of applications. There's a reason why Kenjaku hijacked the OG Noritoshi Kamo's body and used his powers to create cursed womb death paintings. Keep in mind that he used an actual human to bear the child of a cursed spirit. And now, Kenjaku is the current head of the Kamo family. Not that it matters at this point in the story, considering how the entire Jujutsu society has already collapsed. The Zenin clan has 10 shadows and projection sorcery, but unlike the 10 shadows, projection sorcery was created recently by Nobita, so it's not a signature technique quite yet. It is neat though, and without getting into bloated explanations, let's just say it's all about super speed. Naoya inherited this technique from his father, and you bet he loved flexing it. But in the overall scheme of things, it's ultimately this 10 Shadows technique that remains the hallmark of the Zenin clan. It is on par with the Gojo family's Limitless, and what it does is that it provides the user the ability to summon 10 different Shikigami. One of them is Maharaga, the strongest Shikigami of all. And by now, we all know about the horrific adaptability abilities of Maharaga. It is honestly pretty impressive, and I get why one of the previous Zenin clan heads was able to kill a Gojo clan head in the past. Though to be fair, they killed each other. Finally, we have the Gojo clan. And it's kind of crazy because when it comes to the Zenin clan and the Kamo clan, we have a crook or two that can remind us of how the family isn't all that special. But when it comes to the Gojo family, the only one we knew is Gojo Satoru. And although it was never explicitly stated, he is definitely the strongest member of his family that has ever lived. The Limitless is broken as it is, but when you see and add the 6 eyes and somehow master them both, you become him. Throughout heaven and earth, you alone are the honored one. Funny how while Gojo showed us the best of Gojo family genes himself, for the other two, it was Sukuna and Kenjaku. Sukuna showed us the peak of the 10 shadows and Kenjaku showed us his creativity with blood manipulation. Yup, the 3 big families overall kinda suck. After Gojo pivoted the balance, the other 2 should have simply shrunk into irrelevance, and it should have just been Gojo from there on out. All in all, what do you all think of the big 3 families and their relevance in the Jujutsu society? Personally, I would have loved it if the story explored this more, but now that the higher-ups are dead and the entire Jujutsu society has collapsed, the story simply won't go back and just explore them. Well, I guess we'll just have to do with what the information we have for now from Geigi. So, what do you guys think? Does the order of Jujutsu Society make sense? What do you guys think of their politics? Come on guys, let's continue this conversation in the comment section down below. And if you all think that you can no-diff Sukuna with the Limitless and the 6 eyes and show Gojo how it's really done, hit the subscribe button down below for more content. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next video. TK out.